Yeah. Robert Plant's a smart guy. He can't.
No, absolutely.
He can't do it anymore.
Absolutely.
He says it. He goes.
But I think it's even not. I think it's more than that. I think it's that he wants to do something new. Because even when he does cover Zeppelin, he doesn't do it like they did again.
No. Well, he did Black Dog with banjos.
Yeah.
It went like, it was almost. I almost fell off my chair. I saw it in an intimate setting, and it was brilliantly done. But you're right. Some people want to move on. They want to do other things, and I appreciate it. What I don't like are artists living off the past that don't deliver the goods the way they should. Plant can't be measured because he's doing something different.
Right.
Okay? He's not coming back as Zeppelin because he can't and doesn't want to. Dylan, I saw recently, and you and I have had this conversation, and I thought it was awful. And I, in every way, I try to understand why. Because here's a guy who, talk about revering an artist. I revere Dylan. To me, it's like the Beatles and Dylan, and then everybody else. Okay, that's how I perceive it. The Beatles and Dylan, and then everyone else. And you go to see Dylan and you're warned he could suck, which is terrible as a reputation for people to already warn you it can suck, which means he's sucked for so long that people know that he sucks, but that he has a good show every once in a while. So my attitude, so I saw him, and the songs were unintelligible. He turned his back to the audience, didn't talk to anybody. I thought the show was pretty awful. Wrote a review, said exactly what I thought. And my attitude is, and then someone said to me, you don't understand greatness. He's an interpreter. He reinvents himself. Like someone said, I said, no, he's not. He's an idiot. Because here's the deal. Here's the deal. If you want to suck that bad, or if you want to be like, guess what? I want to not look at you, not talk to you, and reinvent my whole set so you don't even know the songs I'm doing. That's cool. Charge $20 at City Winery. We'll all go get drunk, and you mumble, and I'll try to figure out what you're singing, because like somewhere in the middle I'll hear "Tangled Up in Blue," or "How is 61," somewhere in the middle there I'll hear that and go, "Oh, that's Highway 61," and I'll be eating my hamburgers and French fries, and for $20 I'm having a good old time. But don't charge me $200, $250 to hear this bullshit that you're throwing out. Because, I write for One Music magazine, and I called my editor up and I said, man, you're going to hate this review. I said, I hate to say this because this is a guy I revere, but the show is the worst. And I said, but if you tell me you're not going to do, and he goes, let me tell you something. My wife went to see Dylan 2 years ago. This is what the guy tells me. He goes, in the middle of the set, he called me, and I go, on the phone, goes, do you have any idea what he's singing? And she goes, this is the worst show. And he said, that was my wife who loves Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get why, Van Morrison.
Yeah, he's another guy, absolutely.
But
I've seen him where he's been amazing, and I've seen him where he's been horrible.
Okay.
I saw him at the Pier, Pier in New York going back decades. And comes out, first of all, he's doing the show with a string section, not a horn section. And the final song of the night, Send in the Clowns. And he's holding a piece of paper, reading the lyrics off the piece of paper.
Okay. So, let's talk about Van Morrison. Okay? Fillmore East, 1971, June of 71, they end.
Yeah.
Around February 71, I go to see Van Morrison and Fleetwood Mac. Two of my favorite bands.
Okay.
And Peter Green, actually.
I was going to say, when you talk Fleetwood Mac in those days, it was a much different band.
And also Peter Green had left the band and came back because the guitar player, Danny Kerwin, had been kidnapped by the Children of God cult in California the week before, for real.
Okay.
And they asked Peter to come back, and I told people I saw with Peter Green, and they said you're crazy. But when I read the book written by Mick Fleetwood's wife, Jenny Boyd, his sister Patty Boyd, who's married to Mick Fleetwood, she talks in the book about how they asked Peter Green to come back, and when I interviewed her on my radio show, she said yes, he in fact was there. So I saw Peter, right? It was one of his last shows. Okay.
Yeah.
Having said that, the opening act was Van Morrison. So this is Tupelo Honey, this is Moonlight, Moondance, one of the greatest artists in the world.
Yeah.
So I go, now mind you, the tickets are $3.50. At this point, the ticket prices were raised by 50 cents. So the tickets were $3.50, $4.50, and $5.50. And for people who don't understand, when they raised the price 50 cents, there was a riot on 2nd Avenue. Okay?
Okay.
Let's talk about how crazy just that statement is. It's like saying, Gasoline went from 4 cents a gallon to 6 cents a gallon, and they burned the house down, right? So the tickets are $350, $450, $550. I think I went all in at $550. And I'm at the show, and Van Morrison comes out, and I'm expecting, Van, and he brings out a bunch of Rolling Stone magazines, and he starts reading reviews of his albums. He's not singing any song. He's just reading reviews, and he's drunk. All right, in this issue of Rolling Stone, 5 stars, but he reads the whole review, fuck them. Rips it up, throws it down. In this issue of Rolling Stone, so he doesn't sing. To my knowledge, I don't think he sang. But at $550, it's almost funny, right? Like, I'm thinking, maybe this is what Van Morrison does. I don't know what he does, but he didn't sing. He just read reviews of Rolling Stone. I tell this to people. They go, you're kidding me. I said, I'm not kidding you. He read reviews.
But I have seen him where he's absolutely amazing, too.
And I saw him a couple years later, and he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what someone said to me, you got to see him, hopefully. And then we saw him, I think he was at Lincoln Center. It wasn't at Carnegie Hall, I think it was at Philharmonic Hall. And he was transcendent. But then you say to yourself, why do they have to do this? Do you know what I mean? Why do they have to be so erratic?
I don't know that they can control it.
Like
I'll be quite honest.
Look at The Last Waltz. Look at the
he's
performances.
tremendous in that.
Everybody was tremendous.
Yeah.
Dylan was tremendous. Do you know what I mean? Everybody was tremendous.
Yeah.
You want to see greatness? Watch The Last Waltz. Who isn't great? The band, forget the band.
Yeah.
They're insane. Dr. John, insane. Paul Butterfield, insane. Neil Young, insane. Neil Diamond, insane. Van Morrison, insane.
Right.
They're all insane. You sit back and you go, that's 2 hours of some of the greatest music you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Artists right on their game. So if they know how to do it, why
can't think of them.
do they insist on this erratic bullshit? So I don't care if Dylan do what he wants to do. He sells out 10 nights at the Beacon. Obviously, that's 30,000 tickets, and people go back.
There
So
you go.
much for that. I don't get it. I also don't understand bands that go on late.
Yeah,
I don't disrespect their audiences. I saw Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett. We did a couple weeks ago. She went on 50 minutes late. You know how unconscionable that is in the day of COVID, when people have to wear masks and don't want to be anywhere longer than they need to be?
Right.
To make people sit there 50 minutes, I don't care how good she was. I was so angry about the arrogance of going on 50 minutes late. And I'm a big fan of hers. I think she is the heir to the Streisand great Broadway singers.
Okay.
She is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. You take the best of Bette Midler and Streisand and all the Sophie Tucker, I guess whatever ones you want to equate to a star that could be a Broadway star, and it's rare to transcend that level. So Streisand may be like a great example of how great she can be.
Yeah.
But why go through that shit? Why go through the histrionics? Why go on 50 minutes late? With COVID,
Right.
that's the part that annoyed the hell out of me. You got 6,000 people there, all with ostensibly vaccinations, wearing masks. Who the hell wants to wear a mask any longer than one has to? So this is what I think about as a performer. It's living up to professional expectations.
Yeah.
And Joe, all kidding aside, you know how professionally we run our band.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Schedule, dude.
Absolutely. I'm the same way.
Yeah, schedule. Contract says 9:15. You're on stage at 9:15. Barring a technical problem, you're on stage at 9:15. You're on stage at 9:30, and you play however long you're supposed to, or a little longer. You always do. But let's talk about the schedule of dates at the back of the book. All right, let's talk about that.
Well, first of all, it's insane because I can't even begin to count how many times you've said to me, "This is how many shows we've played," and to have like all the lists. Like when you talk to JJ, you find out that everything is like you carry around so much of that information in your head, and now I was able to see all the information that's in your head down on paper. So, are we talking 9,000 shows?
Well, you have to remember in the first, but again, it's multiple shows per night. So,
right.
But they're all performances because they're all
Right.
single performances
Right.
because there's costume changes. It's always been that way. Just in the first 3 years alone, let's talk about what bands face now versus what it was like in my day. These days, band walks up to you, "Hey man, see my band. How long have you been together?" 2 years. How many shows you played in 2 years? Oh man, a lot. How many is a lot? Like 50.
No.
Oh, 50 shows. Like, how long? 45 minutes, half hour. I said, you've done 50 45-minute shows in 2 years. That's amazing. Done 50 of them. Great. So I'll tell you what, tell me when you hit 500, I'll come down. Because you're going to suck until you hit at least 500. This is my experience. They go, well, I'll never hit 500, so there's a good chance I'm never going to come and see your band. Now, let's look at numbers. Back in the day, you do 540s a night, 6 nights. That's 30 shows in 1 week, right? That's 120 shows in 1 month. That's 1,200. That's 1,400 shows in 1 year. 1,400 performances in 1 year. So the first 3 years, 28, 30, that's like 3,200 shows.
Yeah.
That's what we did. No one thought, by the way, all the bands did that, right? But these were all cover bands,
Right.
not bands playing at CBGBs. And in general, Joe, back in the day, when you went to a bar to see a cover band, you saw a really good band.
Right.
Because we cared to sound better than the bands we were copying. So the biggest bands were great. Zebra was great, and Rat Race Choir was great, and Baby was great, and Whiplash was. Because we cared more than the bands that we were copying.
Right.
To be as close to them, if not better. Okay, that was the professional approach that we all took. So all my book does is say this is how it really looked.
Yeah.
This is really it. And when you look at it, it's crazy.
Yeah.
When you look at it, it's kind of mind-blowing.
Well, I want to pull it back into the book here, and we've been talking for quite a while, and I'm afraid we're going to run out of space. And this is like, I'd love to say like that this was an interview, but this is just normally the way we talk. So we started out. I think I asked 2 questions. Here we are, but. You had asked me when I first told you I really liked the book, you were like, was there anything that surprised you? And I told you the drug thing, right. And we kind of talked about that a little bit. It's well covered in the book. And then there was one other thing that didn't so much surprise me from the book, but surprised me when I first got to know you as a member of Twisted Sister, was your history in music, which you cover bands that you covered, you cover bands that you went to see. And the one thing that I didn't know but absolutely made sense when you said it is that when you were choosing your stage name for Twisted, the JJ was a nod to B.B. King.
Right.
And I just thought that was great.
Yeah.
I never knew that, and that was like one of the things I learned. I was like, wow, that's excellent.
Yeah. So it was always in the back of my mind. B.B. was the first artist I saw at the Fillmore East, the first time I went to the Fillmore. It was B.B. King, Johnny Winter, and Terry Reid. By the way, Terry Reid was supposed to be the lead singer for
Zeppelin.
For Zeppelin. Right?
Met him out at NAMM a couple of years ago.
So I saw B.B. King, and although I'd already been a fan of Albert King, to see B.B. do his thing, his minimalist thing, was unbelievable. And I've seen B.B. many, many times and have every one of his records, and I was a huge fan of B.B. King's style. Because B.B. King, like Albert King, like Stevie Ray, like Jimi Hendrix, like Carlos Santana, what they have in common is when they're playing, you know who it is. There's plenty of guitar players who can play unbelievable guitar, but they're just playing guitar.
Yeah.
These guys, Leslie West is another one of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like Leslie's going to sound like Leslie on a nylon string guitar, and Jimmy's going to sound like Jimmy on a nylon string guitar, and B.B. King is going to sound like freaking B.B. King on a nylon string guitar, and Albert King's going to sound like Albert King, because it's just how they do it. So it's not just how great a guitar player is. Yeah. It's the singular expressive nature of what they manage to distill in their fingers. And what we don't talk about a lot in the book, because I don't talk about music that much, because I'm talking about business. But my experience of music, the amount of acts I saw prior to Twisted, I also have a list of that, which is not in the book. I should have put down every act I've ever seen, because if you saw every act I'd ever seen, which I probably should have put in the book, people go, Jesus Christ, this guy's just like, seeing the craziest shit, It all mattered. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was my soul. It was my driving force. It's why I risked everything, because I loved the music. So even though eventually business took over, the inspiration and the passion and the tenacity, it was all music driven.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you, I'm going to wrap this up here, and when I was reading the book and I got to this next part, I thought to myself, this kind of like So the book, once again, Twisted Business. It hits September 21st.
They're available on Amazon now, but I'll be doing a sign. But
Okay.
I mean, I don't know by the time this goes out. Does it matter that I'm doing signings or not? That's going to pass. the
Look
date?
around to see if there's book signings around in your
Yeah.
area.
Well, there's one in New York City on the 21st of September and one in LA on the 26th of September, and there may be some more.
There you go. But this, I just saw this and I read this and I was like, this is something, if I had heard this and I didn't know you, I would read the book because of this.
Okay.
And it's stay true to your core, be consistent, write your own rules and develop the discipline to stick to them, come what may. When you get clocked, which you will, stay down and take the 10 count. Learn your lessons and then, with tenacity, wisdom, inspiration, stability, trust, excellence, and discipline, leap back on your feet and reclaim what is yours for the taking. I think that says it perfectly.
Yeah, and that was a bit of a Joe Louis line, the fighter Joe Louis. He said, when you get knocked down in the ring, don't get up so fast. He said, take the damn 10 count, man. They're giving you a 10 count. Take it and think about what you're about to do, because you can never get back up so fast that they'll never forget you knocked down. So stay the fuck down and really think about it. You know, I say this in the book. I said, you know, we were turned down more times than a bedsheet in a whorehouse. Like I've said it a million times. We've come back more times than Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers, because the consistency of the how we reacted to the knockdowns, which again is explained in detail in the book,
Yeah.
without knowing we were doing it, by the way, we just did it instinctively, is how we did it. So thank you for pulling that piece out. That really is all about the tenacity part of this whole
Yeah,
thing. Yeah, for
absolutely.
Sure. Thank you, Joe.
But there you go. JJ French from Twisted Sister, his book, Twisted Business. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.